Hey everybody, it's Mischief of Mice. We've got a Tomes and Tales today where we cover rat queens. We're just a group of friends across the world fighting pets. and
It's about to be invaded by a cat or not the friendly one.
and essentially, we're just going to discuss this comic graphic novel that we ended up recently reading, or in our case, rereading. We all thought that it was well worthwhile to go back over this one, as I'm sure it's one of all of our favorites. So, without further ado, I'm gonna just give it to Kashka here, so she can let us know what the heck this is about.
Don't want to do any introductions? I thought you were going to... No? Okay, fine.
We've got Kashka, we've got Callisto, and we've got Lilac SE. And of course,
Hey.
we've got me too.
Hello.
Alright.
Okay. So yeah, Rat Queens Volume 1 as well. This is probably one of my all-time favorites, so it was really easy to pick this one because really enjoy talking about it, rereading it. It's just really ticks all my boxes basically, which I'll probably say like a million times during this discussion. But it was published. They began publishing it in 2013. It's a monthly kind of issue with some breaks, written by Curtis Weeby. Is that how you say his name? Weeby?
That's how I've always said it.
Okay. And Volume 1, the artist was Rock Upchurch. So Curtis said it describes it as, or a couple of quotes from Curtis, I guess. One is he calls it his love letter to his years of D&D and fantasy. And then the other one, what was the other one? Hang on, let me grab the other one. Which totally is where he gets me. Where is it? He describes the concept as the Lord of the Rings meets Bridesmaids. Which I think is also quite a good description.
Wow, yeah.
It was received really well. It tackles some pretty modern issues, which I think is important. But it was received really well. For example, Robert Tutton from Paste described it as rowdy, sarcastic, and intensely loyal personalities of the main character drive the series, and praised its seamless transitions from gore to humor, sprawling action to small personal moments. And also Rock Upchurch received a fair amount of praise for his portrayal of the characters as well. Other praise for it came from Comic Book Resources, who appreciated the dark, twisted, and hilarious series for its fast pacing, Curtis's witty writing, and the humanity and personality which Upchurch infused his drawings. And I couldn't agree more with all of these things. I think he does, like, Curtis just does this fantastic job of bringing these characters to life. And the first volume tackles some good, like, character kind of building stuff, as well as, a quick kind of slightly more basic story that introduces some longer arcs as well, I think. So the story is the Rat Queens, going out and first they're kind of sent on this quick mission to clear up some stuff, and then they end up finding that there's more to it than that. So definitely, if it isn't obvious already, highly recommend this. But but it's published by Image. There's a couple of different. I think, are they on volume 3 now? I forget. I think they're on volume 3 now, aren't they?
I think volume
Yeah.
is out in April.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
The trade paper.
yeah. So yeah, it's a long running series that I'm hope never ends. So, do we want to kick it off with some questions?
Um, well, I think there are at least a few comments to be made. I mean, heck, I just happened to read some of it, but here, I'll just throw this up real quick. For those that aren't unfamiliar with it, these are the characters in the novel, or the main characters to start with at least. There are a lot of sub-characters as well, but we've got Betty, Hannah, Dee, and Violet. Which Betty is, a lot of people say are, I guess if you're familiar with role-playing games, there's halflings or gnomes. She's actually referred to as a smidgen, which that alone is excellent. um, and then of course there's the elf. One of them is, as far as I can tell, human. And then there's the dwarf, which is
Violet.
yeah, which I absolutely love the fact that she's kind of a reversal on the dwarf female, which you don't see dwarf females in most modern fantasy, but apparently dwarf females all have beards as well, and she's kind of the exception and shaved hers. So it just ends up being fantastic in that way. Um, Gosh, there's just so much good things to say about this book. Um, but yes, I think you're right. We should start off with some kind of questions. Did anybody have anything that they wanted to start with?
Um, who are your? Do you have a favorite character? And why?
Oh, wow. How do you pick?
Well, I'm going to start then. I do, yes, and that is, of course, the smidgen here, Betty, the one with the mug thing dripping from it right now, and especially because uh, she's completely innocent, extremely honest, and as backstabbingly devious as you can be all at the same time. It's primarily her personality, but the fact that they actually portray her really well as a small person is fantastic. I mean, she is obviously fragile and has difficulty in reaching things that we take for granted, which is portrayed really well. But I mean, her personality, she is excruciatingly honest about just about everything. But at the same time, she's a rogue or a thief character who backstabs with the best of them and can sneak her way into just about anywhere. But she also realizes she has limitations. And I have to say, just the idea of the smidgen species is rather entertaining. The fact that they're extremely sex hungry.
So do you think that's a smidgen thing, or do you think that's a Betty thing?
Both, but for
They all
all
seem kind of free.
I mean, I haven't seen a lot of smidgen
Comfortable with their
examples.
sexuality.
So with Betty being the primary example, I guess I'm basing my opinion almost entirely on her. But it adds a lot of entertainment to it, and it's very honest though. It's not like dirty or something. So it just she really appeals to me in general. So that's me. Who's next?
Well, I liked Hannah and Dee, probably because those two seem to have the most going on that wasn't talked about, like in a more deep way. So it seems like those storylines are going to be fleshed out later. Hannah was definitely more, like, said more and had a lot more, but I think there's a lot going on behind Dee too. She's a little bit more above. She's
Oh,
I think we lost her.
yeah, I think we just lost her a bit there.
this religion. that her parents belong to, that they worship a flying squid, I think, called Nirgloth.
Nergoth?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Cthulhu.
yeah. And she just she's got healing powers. She's their healer. Um, and I think sometimes with the healers, they tend to be a little bit in the background.
Mm.
So that might also be what is kind of keeping a lot of her backstory and stuff in the background. But hopefully in the next one they talk about her more. But Hannah in general is like really dark and sexy, and she does. It looks like she does kind of dark magic spells and things like that. And I think she's kind of like their tank, because a lot of the spells she puts out are protective of everybody. And the only reason I'm bringing up these kind of stereotypical characters is that in the after each issue they'd have like -4 in like
In their initiative?
charisma or
Or,
yeah, or an
yeah.
initiative and stuff like that. So they kind of ran the D&D thing throughout the story. But yeah, those were my two. I couldn't choose between them.
It was difficult. I will definitely agree with that. They're all wonderful characters.
Mine was not difficult. I immediate glommed on to Betty. I love Betty like there's no tomorrow. She is awesome. I think part of it is that Betty is what I wish I was, even though I'm more D, sitting with the book in the middle of the party.
Right.
So, and the thing that makes me love her the most, really, this is what kind of got it for me, was this scene right there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Secrets.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd say Vi kind of would be my second choice. Like,
Mm.
following her, but Betty is like far outweighs the pack. I enjoy every scene that she is in. And yeah, that wasn't a big big choice for me.
Um, I would say actually Hannah, and for the similar reasons that that Callisto has for Betty, is that I'm kind of envious of how incredibly fearless Hannah is. She just like nothing seems to hold her back, even at times when she probably really should. She's just like out there, kind of pulls the wall, just doesn't care. Um, I love the fact as well that she just swears like a sailor as well, just like completely no holds barred, just whatever she wants to say, she says it. And I think there is some more stuff kind of going on in her background, which I look forward to exploring further. Um,
I'm I'm really
okay.
happy to hear that Hannah is your favorite because when I read this, I always think of you when I'm reading in Hannah.
Oh yeah.
I do.
Wow. Life goal achieved. Yeah, she's. I don't know. There's just I kind of like that she's arcane arts as well. Of the D&D characters that I've played, well, I think I played a tank once, but I think most of them have been like thieves or sorcerers or had some kind of magical aspect to them. So clearly, I kind of favor that a little bit. Um, so yeah, I definitely um, Hannah was my gal kind of thing, and I love her kind of rockabilly like style that she has going on. With the hair and um, God, the fact that these like these women fight in these clothes as well as like. Okay. Do you have 6 of the same thing at home in your wardrobe? Because how is this still intact? Maybe it's magical. I don't know. Whatever. But but yeah, I do like Hannah's style quite a bit and her personality. And I like the fact that she's just constantly joking, actually. Which, if you don't mind, I was going to kind of seg into my question for you guys, which is if we have our kind of favorites, the one that we want to relate to the most, is there a scene? And I think Callisto's already kind of shared hers a bit, but maybe you can elaborate on it. But is there a scene that depicts your character the most, like a favorite scene that you have with them in? And for me, it's this particular scene with Hannah where they're about to fight this rather large kind of female troll. And the female troll shouts up to send out the piss gobblers and we won't smash this town to rubble. And Hannah just immediately turns around to her kind of arch nemesis and says, "You've been summoned," you know. It's like all hell's about to break loose, and she still has this like ridiculous sense of humor where she still is pulling like one-liners out of her back pocket and burning her, you know, kind of rivals. So I think that for me, that's like that's the most Hannah scene right there. But I do like other scenes as well where she gets all like dark and gets kind of into the dark magic when Vi takes a shot a bit further in. So, but what about you guys? Do you have favorite scenes where that depict your favorite characters the best? And as I hand the book to Valen, there you go. Okay.
I have one in mind, but it'll take me to flip to it. I totally have it here. 1 second.
I think that's what I love about this volume the most, though. It's just how character driven it is. It really does. Like, and we've read quite a few things, and there's a lot that have strong stories, and that's good. But for me, this character driven kind of book is really good stuff.
There is.
I'm stalling. Well,
I've got two parts to it. So I'll just show you the first part for the moment, and that is this scene here, where you can see. Actually, here I'll unfold it a bit. You can see Betty is like in the little tiny circles, and she's essentially assessing the situation while her friend is just talking him up, and she's looking around the room, and you don't know what the heck this is that's going on. And then a few pages later, after Betty, of course, totally throws everything and busts them out of that room for absolutely what seems to be absolutely no reason, she then explains everything that she ended up looking at, and some of which, like you see the fingers highlighted there at the bottom there, were completely just like her going, and they're like, wait a minute, why do we care that he used to wear a wedding ring? And she's like, oh, because I just noticed he was probably a bit lonely and searching for somebody. And it's like, what? Oh my gosh, what are you doing picking up this stuff?
That scene actually reminded me a lot of Sherlock. I'm like Betty / Sherlock, where she's like, this bit means this bit, and like. So I did like that scene, but it was kind of Sherlock. Which is cool, it's like another kind of modern pop culture reference in there, perhaps. I don't know if it was intended to be Sherlock-esque, but...
I just realized I wasn't even showing people that were watching those pictures, so I will hold them up again briefly so that people can see. There we go. There she is, looking at these different items.
It's funny, when you said if there was any other ones, I would have totally picked those exact moments. 'Cause, she's so flighty, but yet she just notices everything.
And thus her role as a rogue or thief, I guess, How about you, Lilac, I see?
I have one frame where Dee and Hannah are talking to each other. And basically they're talking about a time when Betty, she was describing her love of hallucinogenic mushrooms and candy. And Dee was saying, Hannah, remember, we all thought the trees had come to life and were attacking us. And Hannah tells them, because if you remember, you picked the mushrooms off their bodies and pissed them all off.
Right.
So that's. I thought I'd pick one that had both of them kind of conversing. There's a lot of like snarky stories and little anecdotes in there that this story is full of, and I love it.
Yeah, it does quickly go from like just one little thing to another, just little pokes of humor and throwbacks to other geeky culture that I really enjoyed. Shoot, there was one picture of this smidgen that I was trying to find.
The smidgen.
Yes.
She has a name. Her name is Betty.
I know.
I love that she named the drink after herself, so I call it the Betty, and it's like, what was it like? Oh, it was like in the book. It was like, what was it, candy apple martini or something like that. So,
Yep.
but then
It's just like candy in the bottom.
and then she admits to her companion that actually there's mushrooms in there as well.
All right, I found the picture I was looking for.
Actually, my favorite one
I'm gonna show it. It's
of
right,
the Meet the Queen
right there.
Oh.
It's like they're all partying, and then the next frame is her passed out on the arm of a chair, in her underwear, of course. Here you go.
Oh, they're cute. Oh gosh. Okay.
All right. I've got a question, but I don't know if. Wait, did you ask a question yet, I like SC? I can't remember.
Oh, not yet. You can go ahead.
Okay. My question is, do you think that the writer, Curtis Wiebe, is willing to and well, he's probably willing to, but will he kill off at any point one of the four main characters?
Oh.
I mean,
Better not.
he has
Way
eagerly
to bring it
killed off.
down a notch.
He has eagerly killed off a lot of people in this. Some of which, it definitely brought it down. But I do have to say thank you once again to Dave and his magical healing bluebirds of his beard. Those that don't know what I'm talking about, you
I
need to
love
see this
Dave.
book. He's also, him and Violet are like the cutest couple. But
Yeah.
I mean, they killed off a lot of characters in the first volume, and I've read the
You
second.
think so?
Yeah,
I don't think they killed off that many people.
they killed off two of the Peaches. They killed off all of that roguish group that was there to clean the excrement hole.
The emo people.
Bathroom detail.
Right, and then,
I did love that actually. The names of the gangs. That was kind of when there was just beyond doubt in my mind that this book was going to be awesome. Was the names of like the kind of rival mercenary gangs. Great, like Peaches, Four Daves, Brother Ponies, and Obsidian Darkness.
Oh, Brother Pony, obviously a play on bronies, but
Yeah.
I mean, I should say, if you think that he will kill off a character, who do you think it would be? And I'm gonna say that it would be. Let me put up the characters here. Hannah.
Oh.
And I'm not saying that I want her to die, but I'm thinking that it would have the biggest impact, and it would have the biggest refocus on the entire rest of the group because she's the leader. And I think it would actually draw the cleric out of her shell a bit more. Plus, I bet you Braga would take over. or jump into the group or something like that.
No. See, I
Uh,
disagree.
This is why I'm curious. I mean, who would he kill off if he kills somebody off? If you don't
Betty.
think he's going to kill someone off, oh, you did not just say that.
I'm sorry.
Also, it's okay for Hannah to die.
You can't kill the smidgen.
She makes the most sense though. She would be they call her baby Betty and they basically treat her like, like a child and so she would have the biggest impact, I think.
Oh.
Especially if they wanted to go down a darker path and then bring him back around again. She would be the most likely one.
yeah, I agree.
Actually, I don't know. I could see D. Right?
Hmm.
D's role being like the healer. I could then see Dave with his bluebirds
Aw.
stepping in to
Yeah.
Oh,
fill that niche.
Oh, that's kind of sad. I mean,
Uh,
I love Dave, don't get me wrong.
what would they call then? Rat
Yeah.
royalty?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, the
I
Ribbon Queen.
I don't actually. I can't see him killing off. I can't see him doing it.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I could see Gary doing it.
So, when I was thinking about questions for this discussion, I was also considering the question, who is Gary? Like, who is Gary?
The zone.
I think Gary is somebody that they failed like some kind of conversation check with, or something like that. Or they really, really scared the crap out of at some point in the past with a super good
Shut
roll.
up, Gary.
Oh boy.
Well, but he doesn't even just mess with the rat queens either. He messes with the 4 Daves. Because like, somebody call the 4 Daves? Nope. Shut the fuck up, Gary.
I bet he's a wannabe who didn't make it into any of they probably held auditions and he didn't make it into any of the groups.
Oh.
He doesn't do like on the town cards, I think, right? Is he? Did you guys?
Yeah.
Gary. And then like
Gary the
yeah,
guard.
I mean this kind of brings it back to the D&D thing, but then like after that, what is it? +4 against any rolls against guys named
Gary.
Next issue, shut the fuck up, Gary. +5 on attack rolls against dudes named Gary. You know? Yeah. Sorry,
That's all right.
it's gonna be Sci-Fi City because there's so many like little things that tiny little nuances about this book that I just love like that. So.
There is a tremendous amount of content in this one little volume, I have to say. So who is not happy with this book and would not recommend it? I didn't think so. So, as we were doing a little research before this, I don't know. I think 2 of the 3 of you know this already. It looks like they're actually planning on pitching a cartoon of this. It was like I see that wasn't on the call yet. Okay. When we saw this, I was just like, oh my gosh, that could be totally awesome. But it would have to be more mature audiences, I think.
Yeah.
Like
the Archer audience.
I think I'd like to see it more as a live action.
As a what?
That would be awesome.
Live action? Oh, yeah.
Live action.
That could be really cool, too. There's been some absolutely
cool.
fantastic cosplays I've seen of these characters as well.
Yeah.
I've yet to see a really awesome Dave with his Bluebirds of Happiness, but I look forward to that when somebody finally cosplays it.
You know who could totally pull that off? The Zone.
I guess I better get working on that costume. You know who's gonna make
some
it.
bluebirds and send it. Because he could shave his head.
Gets a little
shaved head.
little pointy.
And I have confidence in the beard growing as well.
Yeah. If it doesn't make it in time, then he could always just get a little something. And then Wisto could just perch
Stick.
little bluebirds in there for him. Be like, there
Oh,
you
the trick will be finding ones that will actually like chirp and move. Oh, that would make
Oh,
it awesome.
that would make it awesome.
go. And you could go as Violet with an arrow
I was
coming
going
out
to
of your
say,
neck, right?
then
Yeah.
you are obliged to be bi. Yeah. And zone is Orc Dave then. You have to be bi.
Oh, I like that. I like that idea. I have to start working on it now if we actually want it done by like 3 Halloweens from now. It's
Okay.
funny because I'm always telling him I always say, you know, shut up, Gary, to him all the time. So I'm getting looks right now.
Yeah, you are.
Um, So I have a more serious question. Or sorry, Lila, Did you have a question, or
Go
I
ahead.
forget where we're at?
Oh,
Go ahead.
um,
No, that was it.
my
Oh,
question was,
sorry. Yeah.
do you think that this is accessible to everyone?
That's a good question.
Define accessible.
I mean, well, it's it's got a lot of characters. It's like mature content aside.
Hmm.
Um, would people who don't enjoy it just as much as people obviously who do? Um, all those sorts of reasons. I think that I'll go first. I think with comic book heroes in general being so, especially Black Widow ones, Jessica Jones, things like that.
Mhm.
I think it is more accessible now than it would have maybe been
Mm.
earlier.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, I was actually thinking about it as well, like what
Although it's
influence.
not for fantasy.
Oh, yeah, I
Oh
was
no,
think,
that.
I was thinking about like the influence that it had on D&D. You know, like uh, I think like like nerd culture as a whole is becoming more accessible,
Hmm.
and I think that's made it like acceptable or doable to include different elements of nerd culture in each other. You know, like, there's a lot more crossover now, I think. Um, so like we see D&D like directly referenced in this graphic novel, which is kind of cool. So, but do I think it's accessible as a whole? I think I think it is because I think the fact that it has female leads and has quite a bit of pop culture reference in there, aside from the mature content, I think it is pretty accessible. Stunning answer.
It's more people know more about it. 2 episodes on the show Community that have full D&D storylines, and Big Bang Theory that storyline. So I think more people even just know what it is and can understand like the than just a bunch of people in a small basement room doing things.
I don't know what you're talking about. We were never in a small basement room. Except every time.
Oh no, this last time we were in a pub.
Oh, that's true. We were in a pub. Much.
I've never played D&D,
Oh, goodness.
and
Sorry.
I found it completely accessible. I'm sure there were some in-jokes that I didn't get, um, but for the most part, I understand what D&D is. I've never actually played it, but you know, I didn't find it hard to find the humor and stuff. Other than maybe those hidden gems that you guys got that I didn't.
Mm.
Did it? So here's the question: when I was thinking about the crossover between this and the impact on D&D, did it make you any more interested in D&D?
I've always been interested in it. So far, I've done a couple of role-playing games and not enjoyed them very much. But I'm not sure if that was the games themselves, the people I was with, or, I don't know. I keep wanting to. I desperately want to like it. And I'll keep trying. I'll keep trying until I reach the point where I'm just like, no, I guess this isn't for me. Um, but yeah, someday. I just have to find the right. Everyone I know that plays it on a regular basis keeps telling me I just have to find the right group.
Yeah.
That's very true. Very true.
Sorry, so I totally kind of sidebarred your question there, Hannah. What do you think about accessibility?
Um, I think, and Callisto just kind of made a good point of this, is that it is rather accessible to a good portion of geeky culture. Even if you're unfamiliar with role-playing games, at least experience in playing them, you know of them. You're familiar with fantasy, thanks to like Steve Jackson, Lord of the Rings type stuff that's out there. A lot of the Marvel culture and DC movies have really been making it big and introducing people into fantasy, whether it be sci-fi, medieval, Game of Thrones. It's all been making a really big upsurge. 20 years ago, this wouldn't have been nearly as big of a hit. I think it's come out at a really good time. It's been really well received. The fact that it's got some really strong female leads, and that's what a lot of people are looking for because there's a big lack of it in a lot of the media, I think really plays onto that as well. Um, the character development in this is absolutely fantastic. I mean, sure, it kind of jumps a little bit here and there, and whenever it does, it makes fun of itself for doing so. And I absolutely love that. It's a comic that takes itself seriously, but not too seriously, because so it's really really good. And I think because of its good timing, good artwork, great writer, great story and characters, and a lot of love and support from the community. I think it is very accessible. Now, is it for the younger audience? Maybe not as much because of the amount of violence and uh, profanity, plus almost nudity in this volume and a lot more in future volumes. But I mean, there's always been graphic novels and such that may have a bunch of that, specifically violence, a lot of violence. And I mean, this one is no doesn't shy away from the violence in it. But I think that really hasn't stopped a lot of the younger audience from still gaining access to it nonetheless. They needed somebody to get it for them if they're being restricted from getting it themselves. But I really don't see it as being too bad of a thing because it kind of adds a bit of humor to it. It's sort of like watching when I was younger. There's Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny type stuff. Yes, I'm dating myself, but I mean, it was for two audiences: a very young audience, uh, because it was cartoons, and then an older audience, which got the inside jokes that the younger audience didn't quite grasp yet. And I think there's a lot of that possibility in this, though it's still much more to the mature audience than the young, in my opinion, in this case.
And I think you brought up a good point. The nudity in this, yeah, it wasn't like a thing. Their outfits even weren't like as provocative as some other superhero women or superhero heroines. But that did not mean that this was not sexy in any way.
Right.
Sexual undertones through everything. Just about everything they said had some sort of alternate meaning, or that there was not a lack of sexuality in this trade paperback. But it was nice also. These sexual beings are also different body types.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yeah.
stick to one true body type, which was nice. Um, and that was something that I kind of enjoyed. In fact, Violet is completely head to toe covered in clothes. Like the only thing that really shows is her hands and her face.
Yep.
So but that didn't mean she was any less, you know, sexy. Which yeah,
Well,
obviously.
me being the only male in the group right now, I have to say that the fact that the characters were very realistic, uh, and of course, well drawn doesn't hurt either, but it made them that much more attractive. They weren't exaggerated. To every single character in the party or something like that is this like high charisma, extreme beauty, or something like that, or they're the exact opposite, where they're horrifyingly disfigured and have to wear a mask or something. It was very realistic, and I was really drawn to the characters a lot more because of that, and I actually found them much more attractive.
So this kind of actually ties into what I was going to ask earlier. In what do you guys think of the like general kind of depiction of females throughout the book, and um, what what do you think of like the way that Curtis is kind of tackling some of these like modern themes, like feminism and um, alternative sexualities. Um, so I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about that. It's pretty heavy. Sorry, apologies for that. But I think he's so clever in the way that he handles these themes. There's like he just doesn't skip a beat. With Betty. You know, and Betty, as far as we know from Volume One, is homosexual. So, um, but he just doesn't skip a beat. It's not even an issue, and he just weaves it so cleverly, like into the story, um, that you don't even like notice these very personal kind of moments that are embedded about throughout the story for each of the characters until you go back and think on it later or reread it. But what do you guys think about the depiction of these themes in the book?
I think it makes the world more colorful. You notice that their characters, and even some of the characters with the other groups, are more colorful and have more going on. The mercenaries, but the regular townspeople are kind of boring and dull. Don't have a lot going on. So like having all their different personalities, and they really are a motley crew. Um, you don't really know why they're all together or what brought them together, but them being together, their world is just really vibrant and lively. So I think it just made it that much more interesting. And it was refreshing. I liked seeing a really diverse, interesting place.
Well, I have to say that I think it was handled just fine. It was done really well. Uh, but I also do find that, at least from my perspective, that geeky culture tends to be a lot more accepting of that kind of stuff, and that tends to be the norm. Where it's normal and accepted and not out of the ordinary or surprising. Um, and perhaps there might be the occasional "oops, caught me off guard" type thing, but I mean, I feel that because it's geeky culture, that's a lot more the standard. But Weeby does tend to really push it out there quite well. really support and present it in a really wonderful fashion. I mean, heck, he made Betty so irresistibly cute when she was trying to get back with her girlfriend. And, her girlfriend's like, no. And Betty's like, but don't you want to accept me for who I am? And she's like, I'm not ready for that yet. And then it's like,
Poor broken heart, but
what?
Yeah.
How can you say that to Betty? You know?
gonna hire a mercenary team to take her out,
Yeah.
breaking Betty's heart.
But I mean, after all you witnessed before that, it's like, okay, she's so incredibly cute, but then it also makes you think about the commitments that she may have, and she's a person too. You're following her along with the others, and they're all just this big family. They made their own family out of it. It's really awesome.
But it was nice that she wasn't asking to be accepted based on her sexuality. It was based on herself.
And her friends.
They're beyond that.
Yeah.
I think the friends are incredibly loyal to each other, which I think helps with handling these themes is the way that the characters are handling them within the book. Depicts a really like accepting and loyal kind of atmosphere. But I do think Curtis kind of bleeds it into some other bits as well. Like it's a running joke with old lady Bernadette that she's
She's not an old lady.
But don't you think? I mean, even this joke right here though about old lady Bernadette is actually like subtly poking at like a thing where women have like a shorter shelf life than men, So I think he's just an incredible writer. I think to bring these things together.
Yeah, I love that part with old lady Bernadette. I was like, as somebody who's older than 39, I'm not old yet. I don't feel old. I never did. Never will.
Running gag through the whole novel.
Yes.
But doesn't Weeby runs a D20 group, doesn't he? Dungeons and Dragons
He's
group.
the DM for I think they're on Twitch now actually called D20 Babes, which is they're all female players, and he is DMing for them. So
Awesome.
yeah, really cool. I really want to go check that out actually. If only I could set aside Critical Role for just a little bit. That's really difficult. I'm gonna need to download some of these for.
We're caught up on Critical Role, so we should be good.
I know. I need to download some of these for train rides, though. That I think is the answer.
But,
Well, hey, Brian, you have a whole audience of women. You could just start your own, virtual D&D with all women.
I've DM'd before, and I'm not going to do it again. But yeah, this was such a fantastic book. I want to call it a ride, really, because it is so good. When I was done reading it the first time, because this is an actual reread for those that don't know, but for reading it, it was just, I put it down and I was like, I am so thirsty for more. This is ridiculous, and then I got the next one and I was like, I still need more, It was really, really good drug. Because it was hitting all the right spots, like strong male and female, equal fantasy fighting, lots of humor, lots of just like silly remarks and double entendres and all sorts of crazy stuff just happening, and it was everything that your D&D sessions should be. If you've got a good group, So it just hit all the right spots for me, and I'm so happy that so many people really liked it. I think I ended up seeing it show up on as the Zone has had happened to him before on my Amazon page at the bottom like Amazon recommends this, and it showed up there for like 6 months, and I'm like, all right, I don't know, I'll click on it. And then at one point I was like, wait, Fiona Staples, what is, because she's one of my favorite artists, and I'm like, she does the cover. Oh, that's got my interest. And then I think, what was it, Kashka? Was it you that ended up finally like saying let's get this or something? I can't remember, but I was very happy, very happy.
Yeah, I think I heard about it from Kashka, who was describing it one day. I can't remember when, but I had seen it on the shelf and then, of course, picked it up. Every copy I could find. And actually, today, after I finished it, this was also a reread for me. I ordered the deluxe edition.
Oh,
Out with. It's an all black cover with just the Rat Queen's logo.
Oh yeah.
oh,
Nice.
And apparently it has volumes 1 and 2 in it, along with another storyline and then some other extra stuff. And I'm a sucker for that, so.
So maybe though, you may end up getting, because there's a standalone episode that was written when they switched artists.
Oh,
So the artist for Volume 1 was Rock Upchurch, and my comments on it are really that it's just as fantastic as the writing. I think the critics are correct when they say he does an incredible job depicting facial expressions or expressing emotion, on the characters' faces.
uh-huh.
Just fantastic, and the color, yeah, I love the art just as much as I love the writing. And he really brought them, Rock Up Church really brought them to life for me. So, but they did end up, Rock Up Church had some kind of personal stuff go on, and they ended up switching artists partway through volume 2, actually, I think. What was it, between
I think so. Yeah.
issue number 8 and issue number 9 was when that kind of all went down. And as kind of a segue into a new artist, they did a standalone issue for Braga, who is the orc
Oh, yeah, the
that's
female.
part of the
Yeah.
Peaches gang.
The one that gets shot in her favorite boob.
Yes, shut there, my favorite boob. So Braga, who, so she has a standalone episode, which I think, there's so much depth here to dig into. Not only with what's left of the Peaches, kind of gang, but also there's the whole Four Daves thing. There's so much here it's like a little gold mine, and hopefully, please, Curtis, please, he just keeps going on this forever.
Well, do you think he actually bases Rat Queens on his D20 Babes group?
I'd have to look at the timing, see when D20 Babes started.
He
Maybe
might
just-
not have. He might not have been publishing that on Twitch yet. He might have been doing it privately, like Critical
That's
Role
true.
did.
Yeah, he said it was his love letter to D&D. So, how could you not take some crazy escapades that your character or you DM during your Dungeons and Dragons, experience, and pull those into the story a little bit? I
Isn't
can
that
think
how
of
that
some
one-
stuff we've done that I would.
Isn't that how that one author got famous? Remember at Gen Con you were looking for her or him? Remember who it was?
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Their
don't
whole
remember.
book was just
Tracy
their campaign.
Wiseman and
Yeah.
Oh,
Margaret. Oh, Tracy Hickman and Margaret Wiseman, right?
like, wow!
Sorry.
You really
Oh
messed with my brain on that one. Yes,
God.
Margaret
Sorry.
What was it? Was it Gen
Tracy
Con
Hickman,
or?
Margaret Weiss.
Yeah, that was Gen Con when we were chasing them down trying to get autographs.
They were
Not creepy
really good about
stalkers
it,
at
though.
all.
But yeah, that was awesome. I mean, what's awesome is that I mean, sure, I was nervous to get their signatures because they're my first fantasy author, but I mean, they were very you know happy about it because I had this like ancient Dragonlance book that I had from being when I was a kid. I just called myself ancient. So
Wow, I wasn't going to say anything.
Old man Balin.
Old man Balin, that's
but I had this book and I brought it to Margaret Weiss and she was ever so nice about it and she was really nice, super sweet. It was saw the condition of the book and everything and I think she realized how old it was because the pages were. I am really dating myself with it. The pages were yellowed and were like started a little bit almost crumbly at that point, because it was I've had it for so long and read it so many times. And then when I got it to Tracy Hickman, he was very like, wow, you honor me with this, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
I think like a plane could have crashed through the building and killed Balin right then, and he would have died completely happy and just not wanting for anything in the world.
Hey, I mean, heck, one of your favorite authors, tells you that they're honored by the fact that revere their work and have for a very long time. I think that's pretty darn cool.
It is.
All right. Well, anybody else want to discuss anything before we start closing it up here? All right. I think that kind of does it. Thanks, everybody, for a wonderful discussion on an excellent, excellent graphic novel. I'm not even going to ask the question if everybody would recommend this or not, because I know you all would.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
One last little comment. So go read Volume 2 if you haven't already.
Yes.
My favorite Betty moment.
Oh, she's got it.
is in Volume 2.
Hold it up again, Lilac.
Okay.
There we go. There's Volume 2.
It's called The Far-Reaching Tentacles of Nirgoth.
Of course. It's always tentacles. What is with tentacles?
But my favorite Betty moment is in that volume, and it involves some heavy mushroom consumption. Really good stuff. Sorry, go ahead, Val.
Not that doing drugs is the answer, kids.
No.
It's fantasy.
Don't do drugs.
So next time we're going to get together, we're going to be doing, let's see if I can do it. No, it's not that one. It's not that one. Oh, it's right here. Okay. Come on. There we go. Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
The manga book here. It's the English version of it. So, it being manga, it's kind of written back to front. So you start with the back of the book and flip to the front, though you still read it top, left, bottom, right. It's kind of weird. There are a lot of different styles, but we can discuss that then. So this will be our next time, as picked by Callisto here. Thank you very much for that. I look forward to a good discussion on that one. And, oops. That should just about do it. I hope everybody had a good time. I know I did. That was excellent. So,
Good stuff.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.